Welcome to Gen Z Journey. Today we have Catherine with us. Catherine was born in the UK in the year 1999. She studied business and management studies in University of Sussex, and she founded Social and Glow, which stands for Growing Leaders with Opportunities, Willpower, and she's currently the community and events lead in Color Intact. Anything that I missed out about you that you would like to add on?
Amazing. Well, thank you for the intro. There's lots to my journey, which hopefully we're going to dive in on. So I don't want to give spoilers right at the start. So let's carry on with the chat and then we can unveil the bits and pieces that we need to.
Exciting. So first, you studied business and management studies. What was the plan back then?
That's a great question. So I'll be truly honest with you, Andrew. I had no plan at that point when I went to go to my studies, as I think a lot of other people did. At that point, when I was applying, as I continued to be into my adult life, very busy. I was a volunteer youth worker managing three A levels and then also running the charity committee at my sixth form as well. So juggling a lot of things and having a part-time job at a cafe. So continuing to be endlessly busy. And it was more just I was managing all these things and I didn't see myself in the right place for me at that time. So I was like, okay, well, what are my peers doing? What seems to be the exciting thing? A lot of my school teachers were there like, Catherine, you should go to university. You should go to university. And I was like, maybe I should go to university. So like decided, okay, well, let's give it a go. Let's see what degree makes most sense for what I was doing. Had never done business before, so my A levels were actually maths, English literature, and history because I wanted to make life easy for myself. Um, and yeah, so no, basically decided, okay, let's give business a go because that seems interesting. Also, career prospects afterwards might be a bit easier. You know, I want to go work in a big company at some point, so that might be a good traction to get there. Why not give it a go? So I did a bit more research, found some role models, found some areas that I wanted to go into. Was very interested in marketing at that point. So did research on that and then built kind of a profile for myself to apply to some universities to do business. And actually I remember getting a letter of like commendation from I think Royal Holloway for my application. Um and they were very like, please come to us, but went to Sussex instead. Um, but no, it was really interesting, and yeah, no, decided let's give it a go, and then could always. I think what I really enjoyed about Sussex is that it gave the opportunity to change my mind at any
Hmm?
point as well, which is kind of what pushed me that way. And also that I could do minors during my degree as well. So I could do like additional smaller subjects alongside. So got to do like criminology, got to do maths, got to do what was it, sociology and British political history. That was it. So I got to do those kind of alongside my main degree, which was like just in case like I don't completely vibe with business, then I've got a bit of an addition to do that sounds interesting as well. So yeah, that was pretty much what led me there.
Wow, interesting. That is already a very interesting journey just entering into your university, and I'm surprised how that's so many minors that you took. Like, I'm very impressed. I'm wondering how, like you said, from starting from sixth form, you're like part of different roles as well, and then having a part-time job. How did you manage your work and studies? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of long hours, I'll be honest, and a lot of dedication, and just kind of managing expectations wherever I was. Um, that was a lot of it at the start. So again, as I got used to my studies, I figured out what kind of learning style worked for me. I was very much a like listening person. So being in a room, having somebody lecture at me, which carried on into my university years was like the best way that I took in information, and then writing notes up and rewriting notes. And because I knew that worked for me, that saved me a lot of time in figuring out what works. Um, then when with other bits and pieces, it's like, for example, my youth work after I got qualified for level one. I said, look, these are the nights that I want to dedicate and do. So I helped with our under 13s and then our 13 to 15 groups as well, particularly as I was, for a very long time, the only female youth worker in the group as well. So it was really important for me to kind of be there for the women in our youth group as well. So yeah, kind of dedicated on those times, and then made sure with my job to be like, okay, again, I can do Saturdays and I can do Sunday mornings. And like that was rigidly what I stuck with. And luckily for me, the boundaries that I set with a lot of a lot of my managers and a lot of my team members were very well respected, which was good. And they kind of allowed me, they understood that I was doing quite a lot. So they were just grateful that we were able to make it work and able to make it work together. And then when I came to like joining and running the charity committee at my sixth form, the key thing was I wanted a team. I was like, I can't do it on my own, and that
Okay.
like continues. I mean, my personal mantra is like collaboration, not competition. And very much when, okay, here's some passionate people who I know who care about charity, who care about people, who care about doing good. In some cases, also wanted to help their applications to uni as well. So said, why don't we band together? Let's do this together and do good, essentially. And gave a lot of credit to them throughout a lot of the work that we were doing, and in fact took a like more of a back step on some projects where I was like, this is like I care about it, but this is more the heart of my teammates, so they're going to lead it on this one, and I can just support them where I can, which was amazing. And actually, over the year, we did so much. We actually raised the most amount of money. I don't know if that's still the case, but we raised the most amount of money that they've ever done for our sixth form for charity that year, which was great. And we actually did the first event focused on mental health as well in the sixth form, and we actually branched out to the entire school because it was like a year 7 to year 13 school, and it was all about getting temporary tattoos, and the mantra was like, have tattoos that look pretty, not ones that hurt. And then kind of going around and like raising money by selling like little temporary tattoos to like students and to teachers, and raising awareness for mental health. And we gave like little packets of like, this is where you can go to for support as well, which was amazing.
Wow, I really love that tattoo. The message on the tattoo, that is so cool. Like I can see that on the t-shirt and all that. That like like it's so how do I say that? It's like not so boring. Like it's like totally when you see it, it's like related to mental health and all that. But then when you think about it, yeah, absolutely, it's such a creative way of raising money as well.
Yeah. And I think like the money part of it was important. I mean, we donated everything to Young Minds. Um, but for me, it was kind of opening up the conversation around mental health. Particularly in the sixth form that I was part of, the conversation was not the best. And actually was often, yeah, swept under the rug quite a lot. So it was slightly rebellious in the terms of, no, we're
Oh,
going to talk about it. We're going to bring it up. We're going to make this conversation more comfortable to have. So then if people need help, they don't feel so stigmatized about it.
amazing. But I did find that you seem to be quite clear about, what you want to do, as in like you learn how you know that you have to like set boundaries, like have clear expectations, and even when you're starting the like working on this charity, you knew that you need to have a team and all this. How and where did you learn all this, or was it someone that inspired you to do all this? I feel like for even for me, it's like I learned it later stage, like not so early, like, and then like it took me a long time before being so clear, like, okay, this is something that I need to do, like set boundaries and all this.
Yeah. So that is a great question. So part of it is the people around me, actually encouraging me to set the boundaries as well. So again, I'm really grateful for a lot of the managers I had very early on, especially when I was working in the youth center. The guy who was running it was like so determined with me of like, no, respect yourself and your time. And I'm like, thank you. Oh no, he's amazing. But yeah, no, he was really good at that, and also he demonstrated that quite a lot with himself as well, which was a really good role model for me. And then kind of it became a necessity almost to do it as well, because like I'm sure we'll cover onto this of mental health. Like, I haven't always been perfect at it, at maintaining boundaries and also, managing everything excellently. Um, but because because I've had those tough times, it's reminded me why it's so important to do it as well. Also growing up, like my parents were very much loved the people around them, and often, like I remember as a child, like we had loads of Christmas parties, which is very thematic at the moment.
Yeah.
And we had loads of family gatherings. I remember my dad's 50th, and it was like we hired a whole hall, we had a DJ, we had games, there was 150 people there. Like they were like huge parts of the community, like doing things. And often just really, really like to bring people together, especially when I was young. So again, I saw the kind of power that kind of people ganging together had. Um, and then I suppose like as I got later into my career as well and doing more things, I realized like how important that was, even more, even to today. Like in everything that I do, it's like, okay, can we collaborate? Can we work together? Can we do things together? Because then we can do things better and we can bring people on the journey as well.
Hey, wow, that's really beautiful. But that's so cool. Like hearing that whole event that your dad organizes it. Like that was such a cool thing. I wow.
Yeah, no, they were big, big extroverts. So the energy definitely rubbed off onto me, which I'm grateful for from them. But yeah, no, it was amazing.
Okay, wow, that's cool. I think we'll definitely get back into something similar. I can see the pattern already leading like to the role that you have today. But I'm curious, like while you're studying in university, you founded like Social and Glow. I'm just wondering, how did your entrepreneurial journey started?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the best way to kind of say it is because I was in my degree and I was, learning business. And to be quite
Not busy
honest, I
enough?
not busy enough at this point. I was there like, there's still some hours left in the day we can fill. Um, but I was very much there and I was learning all this content, and for me I was there like I want to try it, if that makes sense. I want to give it a go. I want to see how this works. And doing business, what makes most sense? Well, let's try starting something. Um, so originally it came from actually networking quite a lot. So going to events happening. So I went to Sussex, which is near Brighton. So I went to a lot of entrepreneurial networking events and meeting lots of entrepreneurs, and noticed the gap of especially people who were building purpose-driven businesses that didn't actually have the most amount of money coming in, but really wanted to spread their word, share their message, but just didn't have the time, didn't know how to help, essentially was their want. So I saw that and saw that there were students in the university that wanted work experience, also wanted to give things a go, give things a try. So I decided, well, if I learn how to do social media strategy on Udemy, so bought a course and went, okay, I'm just going to learn as much as I can, give it a go at building up social, see what works, see what doesn't. Great, understood that. Bring a couple of students on board, teach them how to do that, and then match them with entrepreneurs doing these businesses that just didn't have the time, didn't have the resource at a low cost. So then they had the support they needed. The students started them up, gave them a good strategy that was easy for them to carry on with, and then yeah, magic happened. And no, we I can't remember how many clients we helped in the end. I think it was like about 10 to 15. Um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
that's
about
still a
10 to
good
15.
number. Like for
Thank
a
you.
so-called experiment, kind of like you just want to try things out, like, and then it worked.
Yeah, and like it expanded from there. I mean, we started doing workshops as well with like community organizations to say like again, thinking of low budgets, right? That some of these entrepreneurs had even less than some of the ones that we were able to work with. So we were saying, okay, let's do a workshop all together and then we can teach you the key skills so then you kind of have a direction where you can go. Um, and then we had one person who joined. Her name was Vesla. She was amazing, but she had like such a talent for photography. And I was like, well, why don't we do photography services, right? Why don't we give that a go, and just like add that in? So we started doing more photography stuff as well for clients to add into that social side of things. And yeah, it grew. It grew a good amount. Um, yeah, but I wanted it to be better and I wanted to learn how to be a better leader. I wanted to learn from people. So I continued to go into networking events, which was great fun. But as I went to more and more, especially some of the bigger ones, so I was fortunate to be part of an Actus and then got to go on to like various events with companies like Tesco's, Accenture, etc. More, I'm sure. And the issue what I was finding each time that I was going is that there would be panels and speakers that were available, but they often looked very similar to like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Alan Sugar, your very typical example of business
Yes.
owner and in some cases as well tech. And that struck a bit of a chord with me because I was like, well, where's the women? Where's people from diverse backgrounds? Where are people who are neurodivergent? Anywhere. So essentially, I looked at this and then kind of, opened up conversations with some of my team members, and some of them were saying, "Oh, I just want to get a job after uni. I don't imagine that like I'll be a leader. Oh, I wouldn't start a business myself. That sounds really stressful." Um, and just I was seeing like there wasn't passion or there wasn't kind of
Hmm.
drive in people to want to kind of grow or develop or build something. And I think part of that was we just didn't have any role models that were shown to us or demonstrated to us of people that were doing it who looked like us. So decided from there to I ended up stopping social because my heart wasn't in it. We supported the entrepreneurs that we did.
Hmm.
We made sure they were all okay, wrapped everything up. A lot of the students as well went on to exam season, so it worked out best for them as well.
Okay.
Um, and then I decided to pitch to the dean of engagement at the business school. Like, right, I have an idea and I need money. Um, and said that, look, I want to do this event all about showcasing. At that point, it was just women. So
Hmm.
focusing on women in business, like getting like local people who are excelling either as entrepreneurs or as, you know, exceptional people in senior organizations and big corporates. I want to showcase them to a room of young women to inspire them towards those journeys and towards that experience, right? And fortunately, the dean of engagement was like, "This sounds great. This sounds good. I'm going to
Wow.
give you some
Oh
money
my
to
God,
do
it
this."
worked.
And he was like, "Okay, thank goodness." I also have to give credit to my like project management professor, Mo, who was just he was phenomenal. And I went to him so many times, like, "Can you check my proposal? Can you check my proposal?" Just to make sure it's airtight. And he helped me the entire way, which was amazing. Um, and yeah, so essentially got the money and was like, right, we're gonna do this. Um, fast forward like 3 or 4 months, I went to the Gatwick Diamond Business Awards to try and get speakers for the event and kind of showcase what we were doing. I got to campaign on International Women's Day in the university and also in Brighton Centre to be like, hey, come to this event. It's going to be amazing. Worked with other universities, worked with some schools to be like, please bring young people along. It's going to be great. It's free. Like, I'm not asking for anything but your time. Um, and yeah, it worked. right?
Mm-hmm.
We were at the Bright Helm Center, and I remember being in the room looking at the audience. There was like approximately about 150 people there, um, of just young women wanting to be inspired. And so we did, and we had a two panels, one of entrepreneurial women, one of women in senior corporate positions, some through my Enactus connections, which was useful. Um, and they just shared their stories, right? They were honest, they were open, they like warts and all kind of thing of like this is what we've experienced, but this is the joy of what we've experienced as well. And actually many of the entrepreneurial women I still keep in touch with today, which is incredible. And yeah, it was the room, Andrew, was amazing. The energy was beautiful. The connections that were made were phenomenal. And actually, following that event a few months later, one of the attendees reached out to me saying that she was actually going to change the degree that she was going to study from German
Mm-hmm.
to German and management because she wanted to learn to lead.
Oh,
And I was like, oh my goodness, we did
it
it.
feels so great, right? When you actually impacted lives and all this.
Exactly. And like I was so grateful that she told me as well. Um but like I can't take a lot of credit. It's herself and like her work that she is doing, but even to have a small part of influencing her journey and supporting her was just phenomenal. And I then when there was like it doesn't stop with one event, does it? And so then
Yeah.
Glow came about because I was like, we need to do more projects, we need to champion more people, we need to bring the stories so we can inspire. Hence, growing leaders with opportunities and willpower. And from there, we did a podcast with an amazing lady called Helen on Generation X and Generation Z women and how we can learn from each other to make business better and how we can kind of grow together. And then we did a social media series shortly after the pandemic on graduates of 2020, both GCSE, A level, and degree, and the kind of challenges they were facing, their hopes for the future, where they needed support, just to be able to give some sense of understanding for people that were graduating at that time. Um, and also for kind of parents and guardians as well to get a more of an understanding of what people were feeling as well, what students were feeling and graduates were feeling at that time without having to need their children to be able to share that with them. And then we also did a research report of like what does work look like for women in the 21st century, and we got loads of women to submit their thoughts, answer some surveys, give insights into their careers, and that's still out there as a report, just in in where we need to focus on, what we need to do, and what makes most sense. Um, but yeah, and that was incredible. And actually, one thing I did miss out is during that journey of Glow, this was over multiple years. I actually left my degree after second year and decided to go work full time. So I got a job
Okay.
at SAP as a digital transformation associate, which was interesting and good fun. Got to run amazing and huge projects such as a 3-day conference in Amsterdam for 80 people,
Wow.
which was intense but really good fun. We got to end on like a boat party down like Amsterdam canals to celebrate the conference, which is cool. And we got to build bikes as well for a local orphanage in Amsterdam as like a CSR activity, which was
Okay.
amazing, as well as learning, of course. Like learning needed to happen, but I wasn't as interested in that bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely. Like if you tell me about the like, if I join the event, definitely this will be the highlights. This will be the parts which I remember. Definitely, that's the learning part. But it's important to have like all these fun things to kind of like mix them up together and make it more memorable.
Exactly, exactly. It makes it more memorable, makes it more enjoyable, but also I think it
Yes.
helps with the learning as well because you have that break to decompress as well. Like you're not having to be fully focused on, okay, I need to know what is happening in Q4 this year and what are the strategies we need to learn to sell to our clients. Like you need a break from that. Um to do these things as well. And yeah, I was honored to be able to lead and run that, which was awesome. So I was working that job while doing a lot of stuff with Glow as well, and then left after about 13 months and went back to university because it hit the pandemic at this point, to finish
Oh,
my degree because
so kind of like because like the pandemic doesn't allow you to do that many things anymore. It's like, oh, good reason to get back, is it?
exactly good reason to finish it, right? Just finish the degree. Um, but yeah, so I went back, finished my degree, and actually did a bit of a pivot on looking at diversity and inclusion as my topic, and actually my dissertation focused on like how does diversity and inclusion influence employee retention and belonging and sense of belonging within an organization, um, which was again very interesting, and actually later informed what I was going to do next. But while I was doing my third year, I also got a job as a freelancer, at a so no, it wasn't a social media marketing agency. It was just a marketing agency at that point called Digital. And I started in social media, but then actually got a knack for communications, and
Hmm?
automations. So trained myself up
Wow.
on automated communications, which has served me so well throughout my career, and helped about 7 family businesses to be able to automate their whole processes for their customer journeys and save them so much time, Andrew, to the point of I remember one of my clients was like, I'm now spending Saturdays with my daughter rather than
Oh,
like spending it answering emails from customers. And I was like,
that's lovely.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then got to the end of I think it was 21 at this point, maybe 21 or 22. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I was in this job. I was there for about 2 years, finished my degree, was still running low. Um, and I kind of had a bit of a crisis of like, what am I doing with my life? Like I've
Okay.
done so much. I have a lot of interests, but for me, my kind of core passion was helping people. And it's like my joy and my energy and my purpose felt like it came from doing things that enabled people to be their best selves and have the opportunities that they deserve and just live the best life that they want to live. So I was doing all of that with Glow, or at least I was trying to do that with Glow. But I was looking at it and we had good traction, we had a good following, we were supporting people, but I was thinking I want to be able to support people full time. Um, so decided to career change and stopped what I was doing with digital. I was still working at this time, as well, while I was trying to understand what my journey was and my next steps. And actually managed to get a job at an organization called Circle as a community manager, which is all about kind of bringing people together and supporting them on their journeys. But for this organization itself, it was a social startup that supported young people from low socioeconomic backgrounds by pairing them with business leaders, and then they learn the skill of coaching together. So then they come out with a qualification and a lifelong friend in the industry that can kind of help them as they're going through and be a bit of a mentor and a coach for them. So came in as they self-admittedly didn't put much effort into their community, but as they were growing, they were like, we need to do something, and gave me a chance to
Okay.
to make it thrive. And actually, we ended up getting a little award from LinkedIn of managing one of the most engaged communities on LinkedIn, which was awesome.
Wow. That is an
Um,
achievement in itself. A huge
Thank
one,
you.
actually. Yeah.
It was a lot of hard work, but it was worth it. And then we started doing more events. We started working with partners to be like, okay, look, you're working with these young people, and they're amazing. Like, I don't need to tell you that. Why don't you hire them into your organizations? Surely that makes sense because they're sold on your business from like working with your
Yes.
professionals on these programs. And so we started to do more work to be able to support our community to then get jobs into those organizations, which was amazing. Yeah. And then decided the challenge wasn't big enough. So decided to then, well, I found Color in Tech, which is the reason why I mentioned my degree earlier, is I actually reference Color in Tech in my dissertation, on like
Oh,
some of the work they were doing and the importance of diversity and inclusion. I don't think our co-founder knows that, so this is going to be a nice little nugget for him. But yeah, no, I did. So actually, I was following them for a while, and I saw they were looking for a community and events lead, and I was like, This looks interesting. Why not? Let's give it a go. So applied, got the job, and decided, you know what, I'm gonna go fully for this, right? So obviously left Circle, left them in a good position, then moved to Colour in Tech, decided to close Glow and bring all the people that had Glow with me into Colour in Tech as well, and start building more on my personal brand from there as well. So started doing more public speaking, doing more consulting. I actually support a couple of different entrepreneurs now that are building social impact
Mm.
based organizations, in kind of how they manage their communities and how they build up, how they support with their events, as well as kind of running ones for Colour in Tech as well. I actually got a message earlier today from one of our
Mhm.
partners who actually managed to hire someone from one of our events back from a few months ago, which is amazing. And
Wow.
yeah, we continue
Okay.
to still see the impact each day. I can't remember what the original question was, but I yeah, I think I gave a good overview of that journey.
Yes, yes, really. I like how you bring it all the way to like how like why you're in this current role today. Yeah, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. Like, oh my God, that's you have been through so much, which is amazing. I loved it. Like so much experience. And yeah, I guess you're at the point where you like definitely all your experiences can't fit into a CV, but it's you're at the point that you don't need a CV anymore as well because you have done so much work. Like you already showed it. Yeah.
Oh,
I
thank you.
bet
I
there's
say I
so
still need a
much
CV.
yeah, I bet there's so much testimonials about you. You can just like there's this few people which can like give give you a good view of what I've done and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. There was actually a talk I was at a couple of weeks ago, and it was like they were talking about having a wins tracker, and so I've decided
Oh,
my New Year's resolution, I'm going to start building my wins tracker, and it's going to include hopefully some good comments and testimonials from people. So who knows? Come back to me end of next year.
I mean, like even the message today that would be that would be I guess that's a big win. It's not a small win anymore. You actually help an organization hire someone and all that. That is amazing. That is beautiful. Yeah, but I can totally see like from I think when you're sharing about what you have done before your university, it's like it really shows you why you would chose this role, like being a community and events lead. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that, like all the way into this current role. That is beautiful. But yeah,
Thank
like
you.
throughout
Yeah,
all this work. Oh, sorry, you were saying
Mhm.
something?
No, carry on, carry on.
So throughout all this work, I believe it's amazing. I mean, you are definitely a very ambitious person, like doing different things, only slowing down because pandemic forced you to, which is actually really funny. I think it's a good break. It's probably a good break for you as well. Yeah. But just wondering how do you manage your mental health? Definitely, for me, like recently, I've been really excited about the things I'm doing, but I'm realizing that sometimes I do get like, oh, I can feel like the feeling of like pre-burnout, and then I'm like, okay, probably tomorrow I should spend more time with myself, or maybe start planning a little bit more because I think I'm a bit lost on my direction. I'm just wondering, how did you manage your mental health throughout the whole journey?
Yeah, that is it's a great question, and I'm so passionate about mental health. I can't tell you. Um, in all honesty, my mental health has fluctuated, I think is a good word, throughout the whole time
Quite
of my
ironic
career.
because you actually started a charity
Yeah,
bringing awareness, right? Yeah.
literally, literally, and I was doing so much to help other people, and sometimes at points my mental health was not the best, but I carried on for other people. Maybe I shouldn't have, is the key lesson. Um, But no, I think it's like there was a real crux for me. Like again, fluctuations, but the kind of big point that hit for me was actually when I was working at SAP, and I was managing that job, and it was quite stressful. There was a lot of yeah, there was a lot of work that I had to do. I was also helping their business women's network with communications as well on top of my job. So there was lots of things that I was juggling, as well as juggling things with Glow. Also kind of had, personal things happening in my life at the same time, and it just kind of all accumulated. I had also poor health at the time as well. Found out I had a gluten allergy, which was, yeah, turns out quite severe. So it kind of all kind of came at one point. And there was kind of an incident that happened as well that it just all blew up essentially for me. And I remember quite vividly, like I got some information and it just ended for me in my head, and
Mm.
I collapsed, and literally full breakdown, um, and it was just like there was a couple of months where I was just, I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm not doing anything. This is I'm at my lowest. And it affected me. I managed to get to a point where I was able to do more things. I was taking more things on. I had to reprioritize what I needed to do, what my focus was. Left my job and moved to a different organization. COVID happened as well at the
Mm.
same time. So again, the forced slowdown with COVID as well helped. And then yeah, moved to something that made more sense for me and actually managed with my life better and offered me more flexibility for what I wanted to do. Um, but it was really tough. And actually the effects of that carried on for years. In just like managing my own expectations of myself and reminding myself why boundaries are so important, and also making sure that I'm doing things that are providing me with energy. And if something isn't providing me with energy, how can I minimize it or kind of reduce it completely from what I'm doing, which I appreciate in myself as a really big blessing that I have, that I'm managing to now be in a place where I'm doing a lot of things that give me a lot
Mm.
of energy to kind of manage that as well. um but from that time of burnout, it's almost kind of been a reminder as well. I think, what was I was when it happened, I think I was about 19, so I wasn't very old, to be quite honest. um
Very young. Very young.
very young to experience that kind of severe burnout.
Yes.
But it's played a consistent reminder for myself of why I need to prioritize my mental health, why I need to make sure that if I'm feeling overwhelmed, identify what it is, and then, okay, how can I reduce that overwhelm, or what can I do to give myself some more grace? And actually, a lot of, especially in kind of the last 2 years, as I've been in therapy for about 2 years now, which I recommend to anyone completely. Even if you think you're okay, go to therapy. Like it's genuinely been the most helpful thing I've done. And my therapist, Maria, shout her out, she's amazing. Um, but actually, what it is, it's a lot of reframing in my own head as well, of like actually giving myself grace and kindness that I would give to somebody else. So when things maybe don't go to plan, or things aren't perfectly perfect as I'd want them to be, it would then be saying, but it's okay because I did my best, and this is what I can then learn from this, and this is how I can then improve going forward. So it's just a step each time. Um, and learning that has actually, and making sure to remind myself of that, has been a huge, and I mean, Andrew, a huge help in kind of managing my mental health, and like making sure it stays as, positive mental health rather than falling to illness.
Amazing. When you talk about, yeah, therapy, I recently, okay, it's not that recent anymore. It's like, I think I started therapy 3 months ago. And then, yeah, it's been so helpful. I was so mind blown by it. And then I was like, oh my God, I should have went in earlier. Because, like, I think I wanted to get into it, like, for a very long time. And then, but I did not. And then it's through this podcast, I have to say, I have to thank thank this podcast for bringing me into therapy, because I've spoken to so many amazing people, people like you, and then they have said that, yeah, they went to therapy, how much therapy has helped them, and then it that made me realize, yeah, I should really try it. But it took me another month before I went to the website and made the booking and made the payment just to schedule the first appointment. And after that, wow, nonstop. In fact, like this morning I just had my, I don't know which how many session, but it was an amazing session as well. Like I just enjoyed having chatting with my therapist, and then I kind of see it like, okay, I guess this is too, I shouldn't, probably shouldn't frame it this way. I kind of like to see it as like outsourcing my mental health management to someone else, like, but I guess like we can frame it in a nice way as well, like having a really helpful friend that actually can guide you through all the mental problems that you're facing, and all this, like all the current issues that you're facing, which I really enjoy. And I totally agree with you that, yeah, everyone should give it a try. In fact, oh my god, this I don't know how many times I've been saying this. Like I've been like asking my dad to go for it, and then, but yeah, he listens to my podcast. I'm pretty sure he'll listen to this episode again, and then he'll listen to this again. Like I'm not gonna force him to do that, but I just hope one day he will, think about it, and then like, yeah, go for it, go for it, and all that. Yeah. But on your second point, I totally agree with that as well. Like all the reframing, like being nice to yourself, that is so important. And this brings me back to one of the earlier podcast guests, an artist called Yi Qing. So she actually said this amazing point that you should, like, because sometimes we are so harsh on ourselves, and then we should really start speaking to ourselves in the mirror. Like, would you speak all those harsh words on yourself? Like you wouldn't say that to a friend. Why would you say that to yourself? And so we should really be a lot nicer to ourselves. Honestly, I'm it's quite shameful to admit that even though I really like this quote, I've never tried that. I should really try that, and then speaking to myself in the mirror, and then like being a lot more nicer to myself. But I can really see that that is a really good way of framing it, and then like, try to be a lot more nicer to ourselves.
Yeah. And it's a joy to hear from you, Andrew, like that you've now started your therapy journey. And actually, I've got a question for you. Um,
Yes, yes.
in terms of like what's been like one of the kind of key changes that you've seen in yourself, even after 3 months?
So much, actually. So much. Yeah. I think it comes from both like two side of things. So definitely understood like many, so like definitely I have noticed all these behaviors which I dislike, but at the same time, I did not know how to solve it. So, one thing is, it's not exactly solving it, but kind of like neutralize it to make it something that personally that's more acceptable, while at the same time accepting that it is normal to sometimes have those behaviors as well. Yeah, so that is the two things. Like in fact, I think today in today's therapy session, it's something that we talk about. Like sometimes, like, because like for me, I think one thing is that I would do, I really care about like how people's impression of me. So like I would do things that focuses a lot on making sure that people will have a good impression of me. But definitely it is at the same time that I have to make sure that I am not harmed or threatened in any way, like when it's something that is, harming me and all that, or like, I don't know, like someone is insulting me or something. There is no reason to leave a good impression to that, and it's more important to stand up for myself, to make sure that I am protected and all that. So like these are like all these things, like it's not to the extreme where like, you're changing yourself, like I dislike this behavior, I'm gonna take that away. It's like, sometimes, yeah, there's ways we can cope with it and then figure out how we can neutralize it, but realizing that we are human after all, and it's normal. So yes, I think that is the biggest learning I have.
I love that. That we are
Yeah.
human. And actually, I
Yes.
think to add on is like there's beauty in our flaws as well, and the the
Sometimes that's what makes us us.
absolutely, absolutely. And actually, when you look at people and how we interact and engagement and just build friendships, we build friendships based on authenticity, right? And being ourselves and actually identifying with people. And the kind of closer we are to ourselves and being kind to ourselves, the more that people gravitate towards that, and the more that people want to be part of that. And you build a life around you that is beautiful.
Indeed. Wow. I love that. Yeah. But yeah, since we're on this friends topic, I'm just wondering, like, I believe, well, definitely you have, you must have gotten a lot of help from your friends, like, throughout, I think your different roles, your different businesses and all that. Just wondering, um, what would you say are the important roles that your friends have played throughout this whole journey?
Oh my goodness. They they have been everything to me. And they continue to be as well. My friends are a second family to me. And I often remind them it's like there's not anything that I wouldn't do for you. As they would for me as well. And the beauty that comes with that is, and what I suppose I value the most is helping each other. So always being there of like when I did my first event for women in business, they were there. When I had my mental health crisis, they were there, literally just giving me a hug and just sitting with me as well. And I recently lost my dad as well, and
I'm so
they
sorry to
were
hear that.
thank you. And they were literally straight over. They brought pajamas, they bought gluten-free snacks, and they were like, "We're here." um, and they always have been. And even when it's like, "Oh, I need an extra pair of hands for glow," or "I'm trying to do this. Would you give a go? Would you come along? Or can I get your insight on something?" They've always been there. But outside of that, I think the most important part is they love me for who I am, and they remind me as well that there is more to life than working, as well, which
Indeed.
is sometimes a needed reminder.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
as a recovering workaholic, but yeah, they're a good reminder of that, and of the good things that we do in life, and actually that all the good things that we can do and the fun things that we can do, no, it doesn't need to be fixed to a weekend. Like we're starting to do more things. Well, starting, it's been like 3 years, but like doing things during the week or after work. Like even if
Mm.
it's just going to the pub and having a drink and a chat,
Yes.
or my guilty pleasure is actually video games when I have the time. And actually bringing my friends over to play various video
Mm.
games that I think they find interesting, or going to films. We're actually doing Friendmas tomorrow, which is really exciting. So they're going to come
Okay.
over. I do a festive quiz of the year, which is chaos.
Okay,
um,
okay.
and yeah, and just kind of having those good times and kind of remembering, yeah, to have fun along the way as well. And they've always been a great reminder of that.
That is amazing. Yeah. Like I really like that point as well, like it's not just limited to the weekends and all that, we can, like, weekdays are not just all about work. Like it's important to enjoy life, like, I don't know, before work and after work. Yeah. Important
Absolutely.
reminder for me as well, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we restricted to the weekends, there's 52 weeks in a year, so that's 104 days. That's it for a weekend in a year. So why limit it to just that, you know?
Yeah, while,
Like,
while while we should make use of our time to make sure that we're more productive, we need to make sure that we utilize our time well, to make sure that our I don't know, mental health is well taken care of, like spending time with our friends and family and all this. Yeah.
absolutely. Actually, there's an interesting point to that. So, one of my friends, Lucy, she runs a co-working, kind of a co-working freelancers community. And they were talking about productivity in one of their events, and somebody mentioned that the average amount of time in a day that you're productive. Actually, take a guess, Andrew. How many hours in a day do you think is average that you're productive for?
I feel like it's quite little time actually. I feel like um 4 hours?
Bang on the money. Yeah.
Really?
4 hours. Yeah, you're productive for 4 hours on average. Obviously, some people are productive for more, some productive for less. Um, and just kind of like remembering that. And when we have 8 hour
Hmm.
work days, it's like give yourself a bit more grace. So, in those times of like, if you get a good few hours of focus, then you've done great. Or even if you don't, that's also fine. Um, but it's kind of remembering that, and then looking at again when you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll do some extra hours to finish stuff off, or maybe I'll do this. Actually, that might not be the best thing for you. Maybe the best thing for your productivity is actually to take a step away and be with friends and do something that recharges you. So then your productive hours the next day are higher.
Okay. That is a very good reminder for me right now. Like this few weeks I've been very busy. I was like, okay. I've been like working till late and all this. It is definitely something that I do enjoy, but I guess yeah, I should really should balance it out. A very good reminder. I'm glad that I'm speaking to you today.
But also be kind to yourself, Andrew, through that time as well. Like, don't
Yeah, yeah.
punish yourself for, um, for yeah, for not putting that time in. But it's all about kindness and grace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it easy for you to find your own people?
It's become easier. I wouldn't
Okay.
say it's easy.
I actually,
Um,
what, because like knowing, like, I mean, like after you've shared the whole journey, I thought it would be like always. I've spoken to so many people, and then like many have said that definitely it is hard. And then I thought like, for once, I might hear that it is actually easy. It's I don't find it hard. But then I'm quite surprised when you said it's easier. I was like, okay, oh that would be interesting.
yeah, it's that's not to say it's easy. It's definitely not easy, but it's easier. And I
Mm,
think where where a lot of my role as well and a lot of what I do is I'm around a lot of people a lot of the time. And like I love people, right? People is my favorite
I
thing
can I
because
can see that and hear that.
yeah, well, I'm glad. Um, but no, just finding out about people and their journeys and what they're doing, what inspires them. I love it. Um, and so by being in spaces and being authentically myself and bringing my energy for myself, again, as I said earlier, I found that more people seem to gravitate towards that, if that makes sense. And I actually gravitate towards more people that are also like that and who are similar. Um, and actually finding people in those spaces and then being like, I'm going to make the conscious decision to say, let's go get coffee. Or the other person will make a conscious decision and say, let's jump on a Zoom. I want to get to know you a bit better. And I'm like, sure, let's find some time. I mean, look how we started, Andrew, right? We were having, I think it was an interview for Color in Tech, and
Yes.
then you reached out and you were like, you seem cool, let's have coffee. I was like, cool, let's have coffee. And it's just having the moments and embracing the opportunities for connection. Um, which yeah has gotten easier, but is not easy. To preface, and yeah, and have more people around me, and yeah, now I'm thankful for everyone in my life. And yeah, and what they bring and who they are. So.
Okay, I totally get what you mean. Like, I mean, like, cause like I recently it's just been like 3 months,
Mhm.
that I've been living in London, and previously I was in Nottingham, and then the the conscious decision when it was quite cool, it was quite fun, like throwing yourself into a new area, and then you kind of have to do everything from scratch, but at the same time there is no right way to do it, so you can just do it any way you want. So I was like, I made a conscious decision to be like, I need to, be out there, meet more people, because like by just meeting more people, yeah, generally, like statistically, you'll be able to, make more friends, and you meet more people. Like if like 1% of them can be really good friends, the more people you meet, the more friends you get. So
Mm.
I totally get what you mean. Like, just putting yourself out there, meet more people, and then definitely easier to find your own people. And then I have glad that has happened. Like, yeah, I even met you. Like, it's funny, like through an interview, like, yeah. Which is really a
Oh,
good story, I think.
it's a good story. It's a good story. And I think as well, it's like from you kind of um, rephrasing it back to me, it's reminded me there's also an element of like, one, people are people. At the end of the day, it's like people want connection, people want to, be with people and grow friendships. And I think we're at a time where I think there's a bit of a concern for me that relationships are becoming more transactional. And that I think is a bad thing. In terms of looking at something of like, well, I'm gonna get to know and be friends with this person because I think they can do this for me. Which, I have seen in the past, and it's something that I hear a lot from people as well. Um, and actually having that mindset going in is just gonna set up for failure. And actually looking at friendships and relationships where it's like, no, I just want to get to know this person, or I'm interested by this person. And kind of being there was somebody I spoke to who phrased it really well, so I'm probably going to butcher it from what they said. But it's kind of like being of service to people and being of service to the people around you. And actually, if you can bring that element of kindness and openness and compassion and authenticity and just being open, that'll also help and do a lot as well. And to break some of those cycles of like kind of reciprocal or kind of what can this person do for me, and therefore that's why I want to know them behaviors.
I see, I see. That
Mm.
is amazing. That is beautiful. Yeah, like I think yeah, many things. Like I think sometimes it's just like us offering help and all this, and yeah, that is the most important thing. Like I think um it's usually when you offer help, like even though like you like we are not trying to be transactional and all that, in the end we'll get help in return in unexpected ways as well. Yeah, because I don't know, that's just how the world works.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, but I think throughout the whole conversation, it has already shown that you are a very truly ambitious person, and oh, well, definitely it's important to balance as well. I think we've learned through our mental health conversation. So as I was saying, like yeah, there's this interviewer that asked me, out of from 1 to 10, how much would you rate how hardworking you are? And then I said it was an 8, and then I believe he actually expected a 10, but I'm actually quite a lazy person, so I'll say 8 is maximum. I would like spend the other time actually try to make sure that I work smart and not hard, so that I'll always get the 2 back to like enjoy and all that. So definitely being ambitious and balance is important. All right, so yes, I'm just wondering, for an ambitious person like you, um, what's your pursuit in life?
Ooh, what's my pursuit in life? A great question. A really great question. So, I think for me, my goal has been and has remained so far. I don't know if it will always be. I don't know about future Catherine. Um, but at least for now, it is about helping others, and it's about making the world a better place, um, as much as I can, and to be able to help people reach their ambitions, get opportunities, and live the dreams that they want to, because I get to live my dream almost every day. So I want to help others to be able to do that. So in terms of my pursuit in life, it's how is I'm constantly asking myself the question, how am I best doing that? And how am I best enabling people to do that? And kind of evaluating, is what I'm doing still helping that, or is there a better opportunity for me to do that? And like currently very happy with how I'm doing that. Um, I mean, like I said, literally got an email earlier today that somebody got a job from some of the work that I did a few months ago. And, I got to take 6 entrepreneurs to Web Summit in Lisbon like 3 weeks ago for the first
Yeah, that looks
time.
so fun. I was like, I felt I'm missing so. I saw a few of my friends going there, so I was like, I feel I'm missing out so much. I was like, maybe I should have just flown there myself and just check it out.
Yeah, I mean, Web Summit's great. So it's the biggest of its kind. I think there's like 75,000 people that go through, which is pretty huge. Um, but yeah, so it's supporting people through that, and then, getting updates like daily from various people on like how they're doing with their businesses and how they're doing with their journeys. And like yesterday, I got to go to one of the people I support events, and she started back in May, so she's now, I think this is her fifth event, maybe sixth. And like watching her yesterday, and she was so in her element, and she was doing amazingly, Andrew. And I mean, I was sitting there so proud of her. Um, and like she's always there. We've got a meeting later, and she's like, I'm waiting for your critical feedback so that I can be better and improve next time. And I'm literally sitting there like, I don't actually have much feedback for you because you've done amazingly. There's nothing I would have done differently. There's no huge issues that I can see. And like just kind of seeing her journey as well. And yeah, it's as long as I'm enabled to be able to help people in that way, then I'm happy. And yeah, I think happiness is a good pursuit in life.
Amazing. But I think what I love more is like, what brings the happiness in you. That is amazing. Like just by like your pursuit is happiness, but what brings you there is by helping people. That is the most beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing I've heard, and I love that.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Just wondering, what's your recent struggle?
Mm, good question. So I think my most recent struggle is actually a personal one. Um, so where like lead a very busy life, right? I think that's the main takeaway, at least for myself, from this conversation. Um, but with having a busy life, I've realized there's little time for things to go drastically wrong. And it's not that things go drastically wrong every day. Hopefully they don't. Um, but I think with the passing of my dad a couple of months ago, it it came at a time where it's like I had, 4 events coming up in the next week. I was going to Lisbon. I had things that I needed to wrap up for the year. My consulting clients had things that needed doing, and it's just because it came quite suddenly. It kind of all kind of exploded in my life a little bit again. Um, Luckily, I was in a much better place in my mental health to deal with that, but it meant that I things needed to stop. Like things needed to shut down. Um, and they did. And I'm very grateful for my boss who was very much like, no, no, take the time you need. Which was good. But then there's also that element of even though my world feels like it stopped, the whole world hasn't around me. Um, so then there's kind of that struggle in the busy lives that we lead. And you know I know loads of people around me that also lead very busy lives, and do quite a lot. Where do we where do we have the support when things go very wrong, and where can we kind of continue to give that grace, and how does that kind of affect as we go forward? I mean, even from having some time out, I'm still kind of there's still things that I'm like behind on, in terms of like catching up to certain people. My inbox has not been near zero for a little while, and catching up on messages and making sure that things are delivered as well as they can be. But again, continuing to remind myself to give myself grace during this period as well, that things aren't going to be perfect, and that's okay. um so yeah, I think the struggle is how how do we find balance in what we feel is a balanced life and a busy life when things go very wrong. So I think that's my struggle right now, and it's still something I'm trying to figure out the answer to. So I don't have an answer to you yet. I suppose that's why it's still a current struggle. Um, but yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, so much for sharing that. I believe it must not have been easy for you, to go through all that. And yeah, but yeah, so I guess, well, it wouldn't be a easy thing for me to go through as well. Like, and I can imagine, yeah, balancing and all this. It's something that I'm still figuring out, and I'm not sure if I'll figure that out. Actually, yeah, it might be something that will constantly be a question for us, because, like, I don't know, the world is ever changing and all that. But yes, thank you for sharing all that, and well, I hope things gets easier, more things get sorted out. I guess I hope that my to-do list gets shorter as well. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope your to-do list gets shorter too, Andrew. That's I always hope for people to get to finally to the end of their to-do list. That's always a good feeling, right?
Yes, indeed, indeed. But now let's go to the other side and talk about something happier. Wondering what's the one thing that you love about yourself?
That is a good question. You've had some great questions, Andrew. I've got to give you credit there. They've been
Thank
really,
you.
really good ones for me to think through.
I will take that. I'll take that. I'm quite proud of my questions. Well, I did steal them from different people, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I stole them.
You were inspired by them. So there you go.
Indeed, indeed. A better word.
Yeah. I'm inspired by not inspired, the wrong word. I What I love about myself is I love the values that I have and the values that I continue to hold for myself. Um, and kind of being able to be in a situation and think this doesn't feel right and figuring out why it doesn't feel right and coming back to those values and then making the decision that I feel is best in that moment. Um, yeah, that's what I love about myself. I love my values and the values that I've built for myself.
I see. It sounds like you're a very, very introspective person, actually, which is really good, really amazing, and I really like. It's, I guess, I'm glad that I have been that for quite some time, but previously I wasn't like that, and it's more like my therapist that pointed that out to me, and then it made me realize, like, yeah, it's maybe it should be something like the one thing that I love about myself as well. Realizing that, I was like, yeah, I should appreciate myself for being someone that introspective. But yes, amazing. That's really cool. Yeah. What's your significant failure or low point in life that shaped you to who you are today?
Yeah. So I think we touched on this a little bit earlier. Um, but I think my low point was definitely when I had my mental health crisis. That was a really low moment for me. A lot of things after that went quite wrong in my life, which again led to various other things happening. I mean, I ended up because I was living in London at the time. Obviously, decided to go back to uni, so moved out of London and moved out of my home with my partner. Um, to somewhere it's like I've gone back and I have got no friends, no support network down there. I'm completely on my own. Um, and yeah, and just kind of being the pandemic as well. There was little opportunity to build connection and to build friendship and to build community around yourself. So, and then coming from having very recently gone through quite severe burnout and yeah, just kind of there was a real feeling of loneliness that came after that at that time, which put me at a very low point. Um which, like I said, it is still taken years to kind of work on and come out of and work through at that time, and just kind of understand. And again, this is where I come back to those values, right? And come back to giving myself grace. It's like understanding I put myself in a really difficult position after going through quite a difficult time. And actually the I didn't allow myself any grace then, and I didn't allow myself any kindness, which really exacerbated the situation for me. Um, so then because I initially did seek out help at that point, so again with mental health services that were there, and yeah, just really got myself out of that space. And I think again, going through all of that cumulatively really shaped later on of, again, what values do I hold, what is important to me, what drives me, what do I want my future to look like. And actually it's led to each year now I get to, it's actually around this time, I try to have like a good amount of leave or time off at the end of the year, so wrapping up next Friday, um and just kind of have a couple of weeks to just kind of sit, reset myself. So, go to the gym and do some mindfulness, do some journaling, um, work on any plans that I have. My partner calls it the shiny balls in my life that I like to follow. And build up on, but also kind of use it as a time to kind of sit with myself and kind of reflect on the year and been like, okay, well, where was I at the start of the year? Where did I want to get to? Have I achieved that? Is that still in line with my values and where I want to be and what I want to be doing? Yes, amazing. How can I further support myself and enhance that for next year? Or if no, or if I feel this could be better, or if I feel this is more aligning with 2024, end of 2024, Catherine, then I need to pivot. What do I need to change about next year? What do I need to pivot in order to be closer to that? And actually, each year from doing that, I've gotten closer, if that makes sense, each time. And it's like, obviously with various life changes happening, but I've gotten closer to having a life that I'm really happy with, and I'm really content with, and I can see myself helping others, and I can see myself supporting people's dreams, and I can see happiness in myself, and yeah, and getting the time to be with friends around me as well. So yeah, yeah, that whole journey and that whole kind of bundle of mental health crisis led to then those good practices, which then led to me realizing what's important and making sure I had that around me.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I am I'm excited that you're getting a break, wrapping up next Friday. And I learned that the hard way as well. I think 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, I I had because I was working in Meta on the contract, and then so if you don't take the leaves, they will pay you for it. And
Mm,
then I was really motivated by the money, and then so I did not take any. I was like, yay, I would take the money. But I think last year made me realize that it is important to really take a break. I do deserve that break as well. And then it's important to have all this reset and reflection and all this. And actually, this year I'm doing it. I will be having a own personal retreat to 3 days 2 nights, no internet, no TV, and everything. That's what written on the Airbnb, which I was really excited when I saw it. I was like, that's the perfect fit. I was like, I'm going there. Yeah, and I'm gonna do my annual planning and all that. It's my first time doing it. I'm quite excited for it as well, and seeing how much you have enjoyed it, and then the progress you have seen, it made me even more excited about it.
good. I'm glad. What do you want to get most out of that time?
Honestly, I think the one main thing I really want to do is like a digital detox. I think I had this idea like 4 years ago, I think during COVID, and then I have set. So like I think some random week on the COVID period, I learned about it, and then I just start putting like the last Sunday. there will be this event called like what do they call it? I forgot. I forgot what did I call it. But basically, something digital detox. I'm supposed to like the last Sunday of the month. I'm not supposed to use like I should be away from my phones and all that. It's always there, never executed to the stage where I deleted that recurring event. Yeah, so I think this time is really the time where I want to execute on that. So I will be fully off the grid, and then I will be doing a lot of reflection of what I've done this year, and then definitely plan what are the things that I wish to achieve the following year, and then pretty much just I think the main important thing is to disconnect myself from all this external stimuli and truly focus on me, myself, inner me, and then just kind of listen to myself and yeah, reconnect with myself. Yeah, not sure yet. Like today, I was sharing with my therapist, and then she is asking me about it as well. Like, yeah, I'm trying to have some structure. Like I know it's annual planning, but I am not restricting myself too much as well. I'm like, it's my first time, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Let's not make it too rigid. I have 3 days, 2 nights without phones and everything. I should have a lot of time to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no rush. It's not a productivity competition. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the key of what you said
Yeah.
there is no rush at all.
Yes. Yes. I think it's
And
important
there's
to remind ourselves that. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think as well, because we're all, I mean, your whole podcast is about Gen Z, right? We're all so young and still in the early stages of our careers. I mean, a lot of people won't retire until their 70s, which you're now looking is what, at least 45 years in some cases. Like it's a long
And
time.
it might be later for us with, you know, average lifespan increasing and all this. So we never know, actually.
Ex- Exactly. And to be fair, I'm a believer that you're kind of born per se after you finish your education. So it's like I take after I left uni, which was when I was 20 or 21, I think actually. So it's like, okay, I am walking around the world as a 4-year-old. And I'm experiencing it as a 4-year-old because I've finished kind of learning and education about society and everything around me. These are now my years of figuring it out with that knowledge in mind. So it's giving grace to myself again, which I feel like is a recurring theme for me in this episode. But there's actually a book I wanted to recommend you as well in terms of digital detoxing, and it's called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport.
Oh,
I
thanks.
read it 2 years ago, um, back again during the winter break. And it's actually a really good one in terms of understanding like how we use technology and actually, again, thinking with kindness to ourselves and like how do we reduce our use of our devices and social media and how do we do it in stages so then we're more likely to be able to keep going, if that makes sense, and actually um, yeah, and actually keep with the habits that we want to build. So, and I found that really useful. And I think I got my phone screen time down from like 6 hours a day on average to about two. And a lot of that is spending it on Spotify, so, or LinkedIn, which I use for my job. So, yeah. So no, it's good. I have bad days still, don't get me wrong. There's still the occasional 6 hour day. Um, but they're significantly less. So maybe that's helpful.
Thank you for sharing that, but definitely I will check it out. Actually, in fact, one of the question later will be asking about a book, a book
Ooh.
recommendation. Well, perhaps you can think of another one. Like, not this is not just for me; it's actually for everyone. So, yeah, absolutely, I'll check that out. Digital minimalism. Uh, but yes, actually, right now we are down to the final question. Down to the final question. Yeah. Yeah. Time has passed so fast, and then really had a great conversation. And this final question is that: what's the one question have I not asked, or have you not asked that you think everyone should ask?
Hmm. Okay, I think that's your best question yet. Um, oh, I think the question is, what are you doing on either a daily or monthly, or however you would like to have it in terms of time period, basis that makes you proud of who you are?
Such a good question. Wow. This is directed towards me, right? Is it or you? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
think I'm directing it towards you.
Okay, okay. Oh, wow. Doing on a daily basis that I'm proud of. Yeah.
Or monthly, if daily is.
Actually, there is something daily, which I'm quite proud of, and I recently, I am now doing this like 30-day challenge where every day I'm answering one deep question from this amazing. Actually, it's supposed to be a icebreaker card game, but I there's so few opportunities to for me to play with friends that I just started this 30-day challenge to play it with myself and then share it on social
Yeah.
media. So one of the question of it, I think I answered it a few days ago, was that what's this one daily ritual that you think everyone should do it? And I think is actually two things that I will say. So one is actually journaling, and one is doing a daily review. But more specifically, within these two, so my daily journal, first five things is that I write five things that I'm grateful of. Yeah, it's such a small thing, but we just tend to forget to to be grateful about things around us. Or yeah, like it can be small things, it can be people, it can be small gesture from people, or it can be just, like sometimes where we are at, being thankful of us, of where we are at and all this. And we just constantly forget about this. And I think just I'm just very proud of myself doing this, and every day I it allows me to be more grounded, and then realize like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine and all that. And same thing at the end of the day as well. I believe after a whole day, everything has happened. Um, our mind is overstimulated, and it is important to have this reminder. But for the daily review, I just keep it to just three things. So like three things that you are grateful of the day. It could be, the really nice words that the barista have said to you, or someone complimented your shoes or something, or like amazing, like this amazing email that you received today. Like that is definitely something to be grateful of. Like, oh, I think grateful for two things. Actually, you can extract two things out of that. Definitely grateful that that person have sent you the email, and then being grateful that um like the event actually helped out that person to be able to find a new employee and all that. So I think being grateful, like this is the one thing that I do daily, which I'm really proud of. Yeah. What about you? Actually, I'm curious. I'm curious about yours. Like, it's a good question. I think you should answer as well.
Thank you. I just want to like dig into yours slightly.
Mm,
Like, I think that's beautiful
thank
as
you.
well. Um, and the importance of gratitude in every day is so so underrated. And I'm so glad to hear that it's something that you do on a daily basis. Um, yeah, I can see how that's contributed to who you are as a person. So, yes, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, Then I think so. I do similarly. I also journal in the morning and the evening. I usually, instead of what I'm grateful for, I actually do what went well in my day. Because, like, sometimes it's like you're just doing things, it's like very operational day, or maybe some things have gone wrong. But it's like it's forcing myself to be like, no, what went well today? What did you do well? Um, and even if it's just something like I made a lovely dinner or I went and I took myself out for a walk. or it's I got an email saying that somebody got hired into a company that I worked with. That's something that did well. But it can range, and I kind of like that each and every day. But it's very similar to yours, so I'm going to try and give you a different one. Um, so what am I proud of about myself? So I am proud of the fact that I have stuck with my commitments and that I have stuck with the promises that I've made and I have been consistent in that. And those can be promises to other people. So again, people that I support outside of my job to help them succeed. It's like making sure that I'm there for them. Like I had a very long day in Parliament yesterday, but I was still determined to be at that event in the evening, support Amber. And even it's like outside of that, but also for myself, like proud of keeping things to myself as well. Um, like again, it's been 2 years that I've been doing therapy. I'm proud of myself for doing that. I actually stopped drinking a year and a half ago now. And actually consistently with that as well.
Big
I think I've only
achievement.
got one other friend that, yeah, thank you. One other friend that doesn't drink. And obviously, being young and in your 20s, like parties and stuff happen, and just kind of being proud of myself that I kind of stick again with the values and what I know is best for me. Um, so yeah, so no, sticking with that as well and being proud.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You challenge yourself, and then like just because, well, like you're proud of something that's similar, and then you just go ahead and then like let's dig deeper and see. But it's good actually. It is a good exercise. Like we should be proud of ourselves for more than one single thing, and I'm really glad that you shared all that. So yes, thank you so much, and I really love that. But I also really like how you framed your evening journal, like how it went well. That is really beautiful as well. I think humans are just quite programmed to kind of see the bad things in life. Like I guess I don't know. I guess we are more programmed to like notice the threats and all that, and then constantly try to fix them. And I guess now it's like definitely we're now living in one of the best times of the world, like where we have access to technology and everything, and then we should be less concerned about all this, and yeah, we should be more grateful and drive ourselves with gratitude instead of fear.
Yes, absolutely. Gratitude and collaboration with others.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But yes, that is actually it for this podcast. And final, I just like what I said just now, I always ask for a movie recommendation and a book recommendation from the guests. I think well, one thing is for me to steal interesting movies and books from the guests as well, like that, so that I'll have a never-ending list of movies and books to read.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna start with a book first because I'm a big reader.
Okay.
Um, in the very minimal spare time I have. I actually, funnily enough, I actually run a small book club with my friends, outside as well that meets every 2 months, so it's not
Would you
too
like to
intense.
share more about that? I remember what you said that, and then that is a very interesting book club. Yeah, very helpful book club
Ooh.
as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a great little book club. We meet every 2 months and we basically discuss what we've read over the last 2 months. And then kind of do almost like a live Goodreads, and then we exchange and swap books and recommend from there. So helps bring the costs down of enjoying books, but also gives exposure to other areas that you may never have read before. Which is how I got into Japanese literature actually. But the book that I'm going to recommend you is actually because she's my favorite author, I think, of all time. And it's Octavia Butler, Kindred. And Octavia Butler is such an amazing author. I'm gutted that she is no longer with us, so she can't write any more books. But Kindred is kind of her. There's one which is a standalone, and it's it kind of helps people. What the story is essentially, this woman is living through her everyday life, and then suddenly she collapses and she wakes up, and instead of being in modern day, it's now 1850 in her time, and she is a black woman. So it's like how is she living through history and going through history, and anything that happens to her remains happened to her in modern day. So say if she gets a cut on her hand, she'll have a cut on her hand in modern day. So it's how do we experience history, and how do we learn, and how do we, you know, how do we best how do we best learn from history, essentially. But it's a really good book. I really enjoy it. And I enjoy Octavia Butler as well. I'm trying like to explain it without giving too many spoilers.
Understand. That's the
But
hardest part. Like building a good hook while not letting off the whole story.
yeah, well, you got to figure out does she keep going back? How can she best protect herself, and how does she best prepare herself for the situation that she's going to go in, and how does she stop it from happening? But yes, it's a really good book. I really recommend, and it's not too long as well.
Oh, lovely.
So
Okay, definitely I'll check it out. Wow. Okay.
yeah, and you said movie as well, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I haven't seen some movies for a while, so this is a little bit of a difficult one for me to do. I think it depends. Actually, I'm going to ask a question back to you. What movies are you into? And I'll see if I can focus on a genre.
Oh, well, what movies am I into? I am more into like movies inspired by real events. Yeah, or like biographies. I'm quite into that. But definitely no pressure. You don't have to follow that. Like in fact, if you ask me what's my favorite movie, I would say it's actually About Time, which is like romance comedy. Yeah, I actually love that.
I love About Time. Richard Curtis
Yes.
is amazing. I've already got Love Actually ready to play for Christmas.
Yes, my family never watched that. My sister heard about it and then I was like, "Oh my God, you guys have to watch it. Like it's Christmas. Yes, I'm gonna bring this bring this culture here."
Please, please do. Oh my goodness. I love Love Actually, and I love About Time as well. I remember getting my partner to watch it for the first time and just full tears. He's like, "Why did you show me this beautiful movie?" And I'm like, "Because it is amazing." And I take
Satisfying.
no regrets. Um, oh, yeah, no, Love Actually is an amazing one. And so is About Time. So, okay, if you like things that are inspired by real life, then I am going to recommend you Trial of the Chicago 7, which is a movie with Sacha Bowen. I can't pronounce his last name. Look him up. You will know
Okay.
him. And then also the Eddie Redmayne as well, and a few others. There's a star-studded cast, and essentially it's about the trial that happened in America with that involved kind of peace protests, LGBTQIA protests, and then rights protests, and then also it involved the Black Panthers as well. So, and it was the trial that kind of brought them all together, and yeah, it's really interesting from a sociology history point of view. And it's got some stellar performances in there, and it's based on real history. So
Okay, cool. I think okay, I don't remember the name, but I think I have seen like the trailer before definitely, and then it's definitely an interesting one. Okay. A good reason for me
mm,
to watch it. Okay, thank you. Thank you
yeah,
so much. I love
I
it.
recommend.
Okay. So well I'm happy that you're on the same page on About Time and Love Actually as well. Like, oh happy I was like so happy to find another like-minded individual on these two movies. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. As you can see, I'm a big Christmas fan. And I'm also a hopeless romantic. So Richard Curtis is always high on my list.
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear. But yes, so we have come to an end to this podcast. I thank you so much for sharing all your experiences and all your personal stories and yeah, leaving your recommendations as well. I think that's a very important thing. So yes, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciated that you accepted the invite and came up here.
And thank you to you as well, Andrew, for for reaching out and for inviting me here as well. It's been an honor, and you are an amazing interviewer. So thank you so much for your experience and your time and your gratitude.
Thank you for that. I'm so honored to hear that. But just wondering, like, for the audience, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
So the best way to reach me is through LinkedIn. You can find me through my name, so Catherine Park. But if I don't come up pretty quickly, then if you put into the URL where you put the name bit of it, if you put Catherine Nina Park, then I come up.
Okay, that's beautiful. We will also put a link down in the description below. So yes, thanks again, and I hope you will have a great weekend ahead.
You too, Andrew. You too.
If you enjoyed the podcast, I would really appreciate if you leave us a 5-star review and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thanks again for listening to Gen Z Journey. We'll see you again next week. Remember to subscribe to get notified as new episodes come out every Thursday, and please share this podcast to anyone you think would enjoy it. This is Andrew Kuan from Gen Z Journey.